Nice night, other than I had some little critter trying to drag my stove bag off in the middle of the night. I had to actually go dive under that rock and retrieve it. This is seriously the part of this hike I've been missing. So my only issue, and the reason I didn't sleep real great, is I had some critter come out of the rocks on the far side, and I didn't have any food out. I keep that secured inside my pack, inside my tent. But it actually grabbed my food bag, so I found my lighter there, and my food bag and my hot lips was around the corner under a rock, and I had to fight for it in the middle of the night. So I was just packing up, and everything is really like well set. I know where everything goes, and then I went to find my flip-flops, and they're not there. And the same damn squirrel, this is where the bag from my stove was last night that I had to grab it out. This is why I don't camp in like busy campsites, because you end up with squirrel rodent issues. It's the first one I've had in a while. I should have known better. I should have brought these inside. So that's annoying, but they are only $5 flip-flops, so I can get another pair when I find a Walmart. It's just trying to find ones that are big enough. Personally, I know people complain about rodents and they say that's why they hang stuff. If it's in the tent and inside of my pack, I have never had an issue, at least so far, in like all the things I've done. But yeah, anything outside, they'll sometimes get brave like this. This was actually sent to me by Jen recently. She stayed in a SoCal campground where she actually had mice running around in her tent. In the Sierra, we often have people that leave their trekking poles far away from the tent, and then these will get chewed by the deer, so I'm usually careful to keep them close. And I should have just brought everything in last night. I did that with the stove and everything because I could hear them playing around. Okay, I don't think that kleptomaniacal ground squirrel got anything else of mine. That is a bummer about my flip-flops, but at least it wasn't my shoes or poles or anything more expensive. So pretty much an ideal camp overall. It took me a little while to find a camp. And obviously I could have set up here just in view of the trail. This isn't one of the marked official trails. Doesn't seem to have mountain bike traffic, and it has less foot traffic. I just didn't want to screw around with any potential issues. I wanted to enjoy my time in the tent. Officially, the trail is following the road down to my left. I came up here just to camp and to get away from the road for a little while. And then I'm going to rejoin it down near McKittrick, a little bit ahead. And then I am road walking for at least a little while. Well, it feels like I'm off in the mountains. I am going through little resort towns and things for the next couple of days. So there are possibilities for hotels. There is the section when I join the CDT, I will be a little bit further away. So at that point, from, civilization and power and all that. So at that point, I am going to have to start planning a little more as far as food carries and being careful with power. Though being more remote generally helps, because if I'm just stuck in the tent without internet access, I don't try and do near as much. Like this morning, I was talking to a friend of mine that's been having some medical stuff. I was responding to comments. And next thing you know, I'm out at 9 something instead of 7 something. And I'm still behind on my bloody edits. Yesterday was at least a little encouraging on my feet. I am still having the same pain. And I don't know, it could get worse again. I'm already limping today. I'm gonna start taking ibuprofen a little bit, but the knuckle of my right foot and then the tendon/heel of my left is a little bit concerning. This isn't the usual light abrasion sort of foot issues I have. This could be something that takes a while to cool down, and you can hike through a lot of things, but not everything. So all I can do is take it day by day. I probably should have just set up someplace like that, but oh well. I enjoyed my little hanging camp. I've been in a lot of places where there is more of a chance of somebody finding you and having some sort of enforcement, so I'm always more careful. Like that down there, that little finger was a potential spot. There's going to be flat ground, but I try and take into account where eyeballs tend to drift for people walking on the trail. And, if I'm set up there, anybody walking on the trail is going to see me. Now, are they going to do anything? Probably not. Unless you get one of those angry individuals that just feels like it's their job in life to go yell at people and yada yada. I have met examples of that. They're probably either going to be a little bit curious or maybe a little bit uncomfortable and figure it's some random hobo, and at most maybe call it in later. But still, I would always prefer to be hidden and not impacting anybody else's experience out here. So in general, I'll try and find spots that are up above the trail where people will just naturally not look over me as they go. Or like yesterday where I'm on the other side of a hump. I actually found something near the trailhead, but there were people up on the rocks, and I felt like, again, you don't know what the context for the area is. I have been woken up at 11 o'clock at night before because some teenagers were out screwing around and approached my tent not knowing what it was. And I personally do not care for waking up to voices approaching the tent. It just takes too much enjoyment out of this for me. Ooh. I did hear from Jen briefly. She came back from her 3-day trip, but because it was Labor Day and they were coming down from the Mammoth area, it took them like 14 hours from the trailhead to get back to Orange County. Normally it's like 5 or 6 hours, so she did not get a lot of sleep, so I'm guessing today is going to be kind of rough. I saw the debit from our mutual Starbucks account, and I was like, I know what's going on. I have friends who would have come down here to camp, but you know what? You get rid of 99% of the problems out here as far as stealth camping if you are away from people. So this is going to be me, assuming I can get off of the park onto the road here. And then I've got a town partway through the day. I'll probably try and grab lunch. And then a town towards the 20-mile mark. Okay, I decided I didn't want to deal with wet feet to just save a couple of minutes walking out the parking lot. There's this group of paid dog walkers out here. They got a handful of people that all have like 3 or 4 dogs per hand going up the trail. Smells like Colorado all of a sudden. Kind of figured from the map, Cabin Central through here. So if you're wondering why I'm still doing gas station water fill-ups, it's because while I am starting to see surface water, it's generally things like this ditch here, which is beside a road. And things happen to water beside roads. People dump cans of oil, cars crash, trash gets dumped, etc., etc. Not to mention all the stuff from the asphalt runs in there when it rains, so I try and avoid drinking that if I can. What I look for is something like that ditch coming down from a hillside, because the chances of anything being wrong with it are a lot less, unless it's coming out of a mine or something. And so far, not a lot of surface water, and the little I have been seeing is very much road adjacent. This trail has generally done a reasonable job of ensuring there are water fill-up options. I could have got back into Kitteridge or whatever it was back there if I was really desperate. I had water from the previous night where those guys filled me up. Per far out at the moment, I am 26.7 miles as the crow flies from the CDT corridor. However, the trail's going to have me going around Grays, so there will be a couple of extra miles before I join it. I assume that must be I-70 up there. I'm generally paralleling it, but sticking a little bit south. So this isn't I-70, but it is going to be a little unpleasant for the next few miles. Yeah, though, that's the road I've been climbing up. Hey, real mountains. There are a few restaurants in town, nothing looked overly tempting. So I think I'm just gonna duck into King Soopers, get a sandwich and some drinks, and keep moseying. Well, I'd rather have a boring sandwich shop, but this works. Okay, not sure how much time that saved versus a restaurant, but at least I got eyed by a bunch of people for looking like an oddball eating a sandwich outside of the supermarket. I'm kind of dragging my feet, returning to the traffic over here. I keep looking forward to getting mistaken for a CDT hiker, but I got to be realistic. The awareness of the CDT isn't nearly as high as the PCT and the AT. I was in CDT trail towns and people were shocked that there was another cross-country trail that went through it. Some people know it, but not all. And the fact that there is the Colorado Trail versus the Continental Divide Trail, I have had people get confused about that. I just had another car stop and ask if I wanted to cheat. Guy just pulled over, gave me a banana, and then was quite distraught that I didn't know any sports teams. This is why I used to keep an ironic knowledge of curling. When I was a consultant, every now and then people would get a little too deep into sports talk. And if they tried to turn to me, that's what I would bust out. Yeah, back up above 9K. Though I think I drop again steeply at the end of the day. Trail goes up, trail goes down. Okay, it's not perfect, but this does look like it's a spring versus something just feeding out of a road. So I think this is going to be my evening fill up. That way I can camp before town and I don't have to spend a bunch of extra money just to get access to ice for my feet. And hey, first time actually getting to use this filter since River to River Trail. It's been a while. Since I hadn't used it for a while, I did flush the filter, but it at least seems to work. Water goes through it anyway. I really can't remember when I filtered last, though. Actually, I take that back. We did filter out of a cow well or two in Kansas, so it hasn't been that long. So it is a little before 6, I think it's 5:45. I am on my way down after cresting around, I think, 9,800. That was basically one big long climb for most of the day. Now I'm descending down to Idaho Springs. My two options I was kind of mulling over was, one, go into Idaho Springs, get a hotel, mostly so I can soak my feet in ice. That seems to have had the best impact of anything I've done. However, the hotel options there are kind of limited, and I'm kind of shying away from another expensive hotel room so quickly. You know, I'd rather wait a couple of days if I can manage. If I push past town, then I have to manage my water and all that. And I don't know if there's going to be camping there. The map shows a bunch of mines. I don't know how active or not that is. So it's a crapshoot, but most of today there's been pretty good options. The other option, the one I'm leaning towards, is there is a note about a potential stealth camp like 2 miles before town. That's why I filled up here. So if I like that, I can just stay there. I can hit town in the morning, grab some coffee and food, and that'll let me stretch what I got on me until I get to Georgetown. Possibly end of tomorrow, I think. I think it's another 20 miles. So we'll see. I'm kind of feeling around blindly with the feet, just trying to see what I can manage and what at least prevents it from getting any worse. Georgetown is kind of the jumping off part that I'm excited for. After that, I basically go into the Argentine area near Gray's and pick up the CDT. And that was a really pretty area I'm looking forward to. And I double checked the really crummy area of the CDT around Morgan. That is not part of the ADT route. They actually go around that, unlike the far out CDT red line. So if Peak Finder is correct, that range is the range that I went over right before Winter Park, which fortunately I don't have to get near this year. But it was picking out James and Flora Peak. That was that double 13er day I did, I think both years. But that was the day right before I came down with COVID in 22. That's always fun. Okay, so allegedly there is something about 15 feet up here. Doesn't look overly promising. Well, this isn't much, but guess I can make it work. Well, from what I can tell, I'm on private land. There is a mining claim higher up. That guy over there was private property, but I should be legal here. And this should be just barely enough room to set up a tent. Well, once again, just barely big enough. I'm gonna have to cook out of the uphill side, because otherwise I might lose a water bottle or something. But hopefully I won't roll down the hill.